Happy Monday, all you degenerate gamers. I hope you're having a wonderful Monday. Monday could be a good day. It could be a bad day. It's the first day of the week for a lot of people. So it could be good. It could be bad, depending on your current state of affairs. If you are starting a very new job, my condolences, because being the new guy really sucks. But today, as I stated in my title, we're going to do something a little different. We're not going to dunk on my favorite lolcow Tectone today. We're going to talk about the Filian drama. The Filian drama I find extremely interesting, mainly because I am a VTuber, obviously. But I think a lot of people are confused at why it's such drama. I don't think people understand the background of VTubing, so I'm going to go over that and talk about it. And you can come up with your own conclusions. The reason why is because Filian just disappeared. Nobody knows why. I'm not familiar with Filian. I don't really watch VTubers much, believe it or not. I watch one VTuber. I think she's hilarious. She's snarky. She's my favorite misogynist, Lucypyre. Lucypyre is my favorite VTuber. I do watch her. I don't watch any other VTubers. I know of VTubers like Iron Mouse. I think we all know of Iron Mouse, but I don't watch any of that stuff. So I found this one interesting, and I think some other people listening to me, if you VTube, might also find it interesting. To give a little background on VTubing, when you decide you're going to VTube, you need a model, obviously, right? There's model, there's the art, the character, and then you have the rigging. Rigging is making the character move based off of your movements, and the movements are tracked usually by a camera. What made Filian kind of popular was that she had full body movement, which is not normal. Like most VTubers, they have upper body, face, eyes, mouth, that kind of thing. But she had the legs and full movement. But what's hard for most VTubers is that the modeling and the rigging is very expensive. If you don't have the money to go hard on a very big model, or a very good model, you have to go cheap, and the prices for modeling are crazy wide. You can buy a model for like $350 on Fiverr. I would not recommend it. I would not recommend Fiverr for something like this. Or you can go with somebody who'll charge you $8,000 for a model. And I actually looked at those way back in the day. They're amazing artists, but $8,000, and they want 8 months of wait time. So some of us don't have that kind of time or luxury. So a lot of us go for the cheaper models. Now you can find somebody, a new artist maybe, who will rig and give you a model for maybe around $1,000 or something. I think that's good if you have a little bit of money, but you can't spend $8,000 for a model. If you really don't have any money, you go and you buy a model from maybe like Etsy, or there's this site called booth.fm.com. I read about it on Reddit. Reddit talks about it. Yeah, booth.pm. You can buy a model. Well, the problem with buying this type of model is that anybody can buy the model. And a lot of times artists will keep the rights to the model so they can resell the model. You don't really own the model. Some models or artists will tell you that you can't sell merch or use the model for any kind of commercial merchandising or whatever, right? It's just they're selling you the model. You can use the model, but you can't really make that your brand. You can't make it your brand. And even if you could, you don't really want to make a model that's been sold 1,000 times to other people your brand. Well, this is what Filian did. She bought a cheap model, because a lot of us don't have the money for an expensive model. And as much as artists want to kick and scream, not a lot of people can spend thousands of dollars for a model. And then you have the rigging. A lot of VTubers will have one person do the model and then another person do the rigging. Usually the two skill sets are kind of separate. But again, you can kind of find discounts if you find somebody that does rigging and modeling. Usually you have to compromise on quality, but that's what you do when you don't have that type of money. So Filian disappeared. Filian just disappeared, deleted all her profiles, her Twitter, her Twitch, all her VODs, just wiped the content off the map. And there's been two types of theories. One, it's for rebranding. She'll come back and she'll rebrand, which is possible, right? Very, very possible. Or it's just purely attention seeking, or something actually happened. I'd like to think it was the former. She's just going to rebrand, but somebody brought up in a video that this was like the final final response to copyright controversy. And this is where you fall into problems if you're a VTuber and you buy a model just for $40 off of some site. The artist wants to keep copyright. Well, if you decide to say, well, I'm just going to pay $40 and do whatever I feel like, that's fine. But if the artist comes after you, that's going to be a problem. And VTubers are really weird about art and commissioning, like you should be paying this person this amount of money. And quite frankly, when I was looking at artists, there's a very wide gap between good VTuber model artists and bad ones. And then you have your amazing ones. But at the same time, not everybody has a lot of money to spend on an artist. So she probably spent $40 thinking, well, maybe I'll just make a little bit of money. Apparently, Filian is super huge. She had, if we go back over here, she had 1.1 million followers. So she was pretty popular. Probably a lot to do. I think she's the one that did backflips and things like that. She went above and beyond what your average VTuber will do, which is basically just upper body movement. Well, if you are stuck with a $40 model and can't do anything and sell merchandise, maybe the artist comes after you, and it appears that's what happened here. When we read this, it seems like they came to an agreement, and it was, according to this, let's just read it. I'd like to inform you that model-related issues that occurred with a VTuber last summer has been resolved through smooth and respectful communication, meaning I threatened and she had to take down some stuff or give me some money. The VTuber in question responded affirmatively to our request for advance notice and crediting, and both parties were able to work together to resolve the issue amicably. Okay, we don't know what that means, but very likely there was a do this or you can't use the model anymore, and she said, okay, I'll do this. I think it's important to maintain fairness by applying the same rules to everyone. Yes. Therefore, we would like to make it clear that no financial transactions were made in the agreement process. Our agreement was based on open... Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was just mutual respect. Just mutual respect. I didn't want any money. No, I didn't want any money. Sure, of course. So it's very possible maybe she did come to an agreement and decided that the model was limiting her and she decided to take off, and it will be a rebrand. This is the problem with VTubing specifically, because I have seen some artists say they revoke permission for somebody to use their model. They won't work with certain people, which is fine, but revoking what your original agreement was is, frankly, bullshit. Which is why it brings me to saying that if you decide to be a VTuber, make sure that you find an artist that will give you permission to use the work how you see fit, and revoking isn't even an option. You don't want to give that artist capacity, the ability to revoke your ability to make money on your model based off of whatever the hell the artist decides. Oh, today I don't like what you had to say. You said some things I didn't really like, so I'm revoking access. Make sure you don't get an artist like that. Now, a lot of VTubers are in a lot of drama. A lot of it is virtue signaling. Personally, I find VTubers to be insufferable when they're super on some side of like, you need to pay an artist $8,000 or you shouldn't be a VTuber. I've seen people claim that somebody like me who doesn't have a lot of money and paid a reasonable price, but nowhere near $800 or $8,000, shouldn't be a VTuber because I'm paying, quite frankly, what they'll call slave wages, which is ridiculous because this usually comes from extremely smug, privileged people who don't understand that, first of all, a certain amount of money is a lot of money in another country, and the push to make these people charge the same rates as somebody in the US is absolutely ridiculous. As a matter of fact, I would argue that if somebody in the US is telling somebody, let's just say in the Philippines, to charge the same amount, they have their own self-interest. They will pretend like they're trying to help you, but they have their own self-interest at heart. The reason why is because they know that if somebody in the US is going to hire somebody in the Philippines, it's because it's cheaper. It's the whole reason we pay for somebody in India to be customer service or tech support. It's because it's cheaper. If they charge the same amount as somebody in the US, then they're not going to get the job. We're just going to pay somebody in the US. It's much better for liability, for to make sure somebody follows US laws, all that kind of stuff. We're gonna pay somebody in the US. So I feel like you have to be careful when it comes to VTubing and always find an artist who is just like, hey, I just want to draw you a model and give you the model, and I like whatever you do with it, I don't really care. And they can just ask you not to link back to them, or they won't put you on their portfolio, whatever the hell they feel like doing. Other than that, it seems like Filian might be back. Who the hell knows? Maybe she just made her millions and she just wants to log off the internet for the rest of her life. Who knows? Isn't that what Belle did? I want to say, wasn't she the one that sold her bathwater? Belle, it definitely defined a certain era of the internet. She will always be remembered, but she disappeared. I suppose now we could just wait and see if she comes back. The problem with leaving for a long period of time is that you might get an initial boost and viewership. You will lose some of your viewership. I feel like that's kind of the natural progression of things. I suppose it depends on how you come back. Hopefully she comes back bigger and stronger than ever and has a new commission with a new avatar where she can do whatever the hell she wants and do merch. Well, it's a very short video for today. I'm a bit pressed for time, so I'm going to end it early, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow.